Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm cycling this Let's Play Train Simulator. Time to drive another steam engine. Today we're going to drive the 7F280 Prussian Blue on what is referred to as a Santa Special. I can only assume that the date of this scenario is probably right around, December 21st, December 20th, something like that. The date is not in the manual, I don't believe. I don't see a date in the manual. And the manual actually suggests that this is a 35-minute scenario, so I guess there's only 3 stops in here after all. Maybe not the 4 that were forecast. Even the next scenario, Fall by the Wayside, is listing in the manual as a 35-minute scenario. A summer spin is supposed to be 60, which it says 56 on here. That's really strange. Watchet for the Storm is also a 60, but it says 30 on here. Oh, these timings are probably not good at all in some of the time listed. The 90 is accurate. The 90 is the same as in the manual for that the 6th scenario. So that is accurate. We're going to assume there's no problem with that one. But in the meantime, we know that we have at least a 35-minute scenario, possibly a 45-minute scenario by the time we're done this one. And we're apparently conveying some festive families and their presents home for the holiday period. Nothing more important than being Santa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's get started. Before we get any further, I did get an achievement on this. Apparently there's an achievement for driving the 7F for the first time, 280, because the train is the 2-8-0. So there you go. We got that achievement. So we're going to move on from there. We're on board with a Santa Special today. Festivities have been arranged in Minehead, and the locals are traveling to join in the fun. Let's get people loaded and then head off. So the first thing we had to do is open the door and let the passengers on. And I actually am clipping from that because you're going to notice that the reason I clipped from that is because I didn't realize I had to pick up passengers here. So it actually came up saying, not everyone had boarded yet. This is not going to look good on your record. Make sure you pick up the passengers. Otherwise, it will not look good on your record. Reset. It hasn't happened. We're done. Blooper reel. There you go. That's going in the bloopers. I didn't let everyone on. That's a blooper. It gives me time to actually play with the controls here and get them down anyway. So we're going to go ahead and reverse the brakes down to near nothing. There we go. Time of this bonus, 200. You can take the brakes off. We can put the regulator into some form of power. And we're on our way now to Washford. Washford is our first stop. We have to be there in about 9 minutes. We're at 8 minutes now. That's in 2.3 miles. That should definitely be doable. I don't see why that would not be doable. Except the ETA says we're going to be late. ETAs are great, aren't they? So more regulator power at this point. We're looking out the window, because I like looking out the window in a steam train. I mean, you can look inside the train, but you can't see much, so out the window is usually a better view. And I can flip the view back and forth, and I'll keep the big HUD up so you can see all the details of what the steam engine is doing, what the fireman's up to, and all that. Because again, I'm not doing the fireman job. I don't want to do 2 jobs at once. The speed limit seems to be 20 miles per hour, and it doesn't seem to change. I do seem to have the regulator at a perfect spot, though, as we're coming into this uphill, which means it's no longer going to be at a perfect spot. We are on a 1 in 75 gradient at this time. It's not a long gradient period, so I'm not too concerned. I can let it go. I'm going to have to bring the brakes off as I get to the top of this. Or not the brakes, the regulator off. Yep, we're at 20 now, so I'm going to cut it right off. I need to put a running brake on, so I shall do that. And I'll put a small bit of regulator on to maintain speed if I can. It's not working as well as I hoped, so we're going to have to minimize the regulator even more. Or am I on a downhill? Nope, not yet. I'll put a 1% regulator. There we go. 1% regulator. Perfect regulator. didn't give you a tour of the 7F cab. I don't know the cab of the 7F from very well, and the image of the manual actually, I noticed, has the one of the ejector gauges marked as the regulator, which is not correct. That thing I'm looking at in the manual is not a regulator, so I don't really have a good guide for the cab for you. If you're familiar with steam engines, you probably know what everything is anyway. If you aren't, go look at the video for the hull. It's probably very similar. Wow, that is some steam. That is some steam coming out of that boiler. But the fireman is doing his job. He's going to make sure I don't blow up. If that was me, I would have probably been like, okay, that's not good. I'm cutting the regulator back just a little bit. In fact, I'm going to... Okay, we seem to be in the right spot to keep it moving back and forth. I'm happy about that. We still do not have a 25. Everything is still 20 in this area. So we're going to accept the fact that we're in a 20. I'm trying to maintain minimal regulator. Did I miss a whistle board? That looked like it was the other way. I'll whistle anyway. You can also see there are no signals in the distance either. I mean, on a route like this, you could probably just hide at least the lower part of the HUD and not miss anything. But the fact that you, some of you might be curious to see what the boiler is doing, because some of you are probably learning how to drive steam as well. And because I have an automated fireman, you can see what the settings are of what he's doing on his fire. So this is a good way for you to get an idea if you're trying to learn how to do the fireman job yourself in your trade. You can see, for example, he now has 67% fire, 80% water, and the doors are open. You can see how the fireman keeps opening and closing the doors. They closed right now, in fact, as we seem to be on an uphill. So I think he closed the doors to while on the uphill. I think that's how he does that. Again, I don't know. I've pulled the regulator off, so the doors are probably going to open either now or when I put the regulator back on. I'm not sure. There's a road there. Fantastic. The door is now open, so you're hearing the noise right now. Let's take a quick look inside the cab to see where that firebox is. There it is, right at my feet. And we're going to look at this side because we have a curve on this side right now. We're also on uphill, a 1 in 74 uphill gradient, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little more regulator on to manage that. The station is coming up ahead. We are, well, 2.5 minutes away. At 20 miles per hour, we'd be looking at covering that in about 2 minutes. We're actually going to be a little early. I like that. There is going to be a signal up here. Notice we have a distant signal warning. Right here, it is diagonally pointing to the left, or pointing diagonal left. So because we have that pointing diagonal left, that is actually a green. That is not a, yeah, that is a distant. That is a distant signal saying that it is a clear signal ahead. So we are clear to proceed into Washford Station by that. Because I know I'm going to be a little bit early, I'm going to go ahead and drop the regulator when I get to about 1/4 of a mile to 3/10, somewhere in that range. Maybe 2/10 from the signal. And I'll lower the regulator now to see what the train does. It is snowing right now. And that is lowering a little too fast, so I'm going to put the regulator back on for a little longer. We are on uphill, so I have to keep that in mind. That is going to slow me down a little bit. I'm okay with that. Just my schedule might not be. So I'm going to leave it at 15 as I pull into Washford. And I'm going to actually hit the brakes as I start pulling in. going to actually take the regulator back off. So I'm going to hit the brakes as I get into Washford. In fact, I'll do a quick brake test right now. That'll work for now. Seems to be pretty good. And back on for a moment. This is going pretty well, actually. I might be able to get the whole train in with the engine beyond the platform. Let's try to do that. Brakes. Need the brakes, please. I'm a little bit too far. I don't know if the first cab is on the cab is on the platform anymore, but we're here. Arrival at Washford Station. Leaving Washford Station, our next stop is Blue Anchor, down platform. I should point out that on this railway, even though it's a mostly single line railway, some stations still have two platforms for passing trains. The down platform is going towards Minehead, as that is heading away from London. The up platform is going towards London, therefore away from Minehead. I have lowered the regulator to 0 because we are entering a downhill segment. In fact, it's already affecting the train. So you're going to notice that I'm going to start gaining speed here. I mean, I just let that happen gradually. You can see our ETA is currently scheduled to be right on time, which I'm not sure I'm a fan of. I'll put a little bit of regulator back on to get up to speed in a hurry. But I'm going to start applying brakes and trying to put a running brake status on there. Notice that on this train, when you put the brake pressure on, it actually does hold. So right now the increase in speed is slower. I've gone ahead and released the brakes again so we can get up to speed. And hopefully the brakes will apply at a good pace that I can maintain them. So I'm going to put that up to a 20% pressure right now. I'm going to have to keep adding to that. So I'm at 19 now. I'm still going to keep adding to that. I'm around, 18 is still not enough. So I have a running brake applied. I seem to be hitting a spot where the increase has slowed to a manageable level. So I have 16.4 inches pressure right now. I'm holding a 23 and a 25 on a 1 in 55 gradient. This is a very steep gradient, a very challenging gradient. I'm going to change the view. You notice we have a clear signal ahead because we know that because the distance signal says it's clear. So we are able to proceed normally at this point. One of the distance signals earlier showed a green, I noticed, on the previous scenario. I find that peculiar because they're supposed to be yellow. The distant arm is supposed to have yellow or red. So this 1 in 55 gradient is really forcing me to keep some brakes applied. I'm going to put a tiny bit more brake on because I think I'm going to need to have just a tiny bit more. I should be able to hold here at about 24.8 at this time. I'm at 15.9% inches of pressure, or 15.9 inches of pressure. I'm actually losing speed, just slightly, which is okay. So I'm going to release just a tad. And that should be just fine. I'm at 16 even at this time. So this kind of data is important for a steam engine scenario. You need to be able to know that the steam engine braking power you have is the correct braking power. And if you know from a previous run, like I've just figured out, that 16 inches of pressure is the ideal pressure at this point, then you know every time you come in here, that's the kind of pressure you want to put on. Now, on a real steam engine, you'd have to read the gauge very carefully to find that. You can't really see it very well right now. There are no cabin lights here, so normally you'd be able to read that if you're in the cab. Or you have a flashlight you can shine on. We don't really have that option. So that's what you would normally do. Unfortunately, we're not having good eyesight, so I'm just going to keep with the automated devices that we have below because they show the exact same information. So in the cab, you would just read that normally. It would show up in the cab. No computerized displays, though. 1 in 74 gradient means I'm going to release my brake pressure. I'm moving it up to 18.5. I'm going to reapply the brakes a bit now because that was too much taken off. I'm now at 16.5 and it looked like I'm holding at 25 miles per hour, which is fine. The next station is up ahead. We are going to have to lower to a 15, so I'm going to keep that in mind. And we're going to apply that brake application momentarily. In fact, it's already starting to go down now because our gradient is smoothing out. It actually is flat as we enter Blue Anchor. So we're going to a 1 in 131 gradient now. I'm going to release the brake pressure just a little bit for now so we can maintain some speed. I did not want to apply anymore. So there's a little less brake pressure now. That's going to allow the speed to decrease a little bit. But I'm going to actually go ahead and release it a little more right now. Actually, I released it completely. I did not want to do that. But you know what? We're good enough that I can manage that. The signal you can see is green. There is another signal up ahead. I expect it will also be a green signal. I mean, look at the time we have to arrive and when we're scheduled to get there. It has to be a green signal. If it's not a green signal, there's a serious problem. So I'm going to apply more brake pressure to get ourselves down to 15 right now, at which point I'm going to go ahead and release the brakes completely. When we get down to about 14. I'm going to go ahead and put this to a running status right now because we have a good decrease going. And I was a little early, but that's okay. So I'm going to let the brakes off completely at this time. I'm going to go back to a running status. I'm going to see what happens. The sky seems to be changing up ahead. That is very interesting. What is with the sky? I feel like I'm in some weird episode of The Twilight Zone at this point. That has to be some kind of a weather thing, folks. I don't know why it would be doing that. That has to be a change in the weather. I really don't know what else it would be. So we have a minute to make our stop. I think we have plenty of time. It's just a matter of where we stop. I'm going to throw the brakes as we get into the platform. You saw the whistle board there, so I whistled. Okay, let's put the brakes on a little application now. I'm setting a bit of a running brake right now so we can slow down a little bit. And let's strengthen those brakes again. Back to a running brake as our speed is decreasing. Not at a good enough pace, so I'm going to put a little more brake on. That should do the job, I think. I think we're good with that. I will put another little brake application on as we come to a stop. The signal is green, so I am okay to proceed beyond the station with the engine a wee bit. And I just did that, actually, so the signal's probably going to change on us. But in any case, we have arrived at Blue Anchor. Leaving Dunster. I'll try that again. Leaving Blue Anchor. Our next stop is Dunster. So there you go. Dunster is our next station. I went back into the cab for a moment, so we're going to look back out the window. So notice as soon as I lower the reverser, we got a much more acute gain in speed. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little brake application on to make sure we don't go past our speed limit. That's my concern right now. Nope, keep the brakes on. That'll do for now until we get to 25. Thank you very much. I'm releasing the brakes now. You can see that we do have a downhill gradient that is starting to affect us as we get back into the 25. We're on a 1 in 200. It's not much. It doesn't look like it's actually has an effect up ahead, but right now it seems to be affecting us. So 1 in 200 gradient. We're actually gaining speed with absolutely no throttle applied. And now the speed increase has stopped, so I have gone ahead and put the regulator back up. By the way, I'm going to keep calling it a throttle. Shoot me, I don't. I normally see it as a throttle. Regulator, same thing. The words are synonymous to me. On a steam engine, it's called a regulator. On any other train, it's called a throttle. And on some electric trains, it also does the brakes. Even some diesel trains, it actually does brakes, but not very good ones in some cases. The SD70, I'm looking at you. So I've gone ahead and lowered the regulator to neutral for right now. The reason for that is because I want to see where I am on my speed right now and see if I can maintain. And I actually do need to put a little regulator back on at this point because I was dropping. And I'm not quite up to speed either, so I'm going to get it up just a little more here. So it looks like the weather change was to apply more of a snowstorm. Interesting that. And now we're getting dark again. Excellent. Excellent. Let's change the view here a little bit. Got a better view out this window right now. So I'm running at 24.5 miles per hour. Our arrival time is scheduled to be early at Dunster, which is okay. As you can see, I'm holding perfect scores so far. I'm not going to complain about that. Dunster is up ahead. We have 4 minutes of time to arrive there. And we only have 0.85 miles, and we have a 15 speed limit, which is why it's going to take us 4 minutes. So 15 speed limit is coming up. Notice I've taken the regulator completely to neutral at this point to see if I can maintain some speed before I have to put brakes on. It looks like I'm going to need to maintain just a wee bit of speed here. I'm not going to go all the way to 25 because I know I want to hit the brakes, but I am going to go ahead and nonetheless leave some... Okay, I am increasing 25 anyway. I just broke my own vow, so we're going to let that happen, I guess. Well, we're really going to be early. I'm just going to go ahead and start letting it drop off a little bit right now, because why not? We're going to be super early at this point. There is a good potential we're going to have a perfect score on this one, guys. But again, we're going to leave that to the judges at Minehead. I don't see a problem with this one unless I have wheel slip. So I'll apply some brakes now. I'm running at a 20 right now. And that is taking the brakes off, but not much. So I'm going to move it to a 19. We're now running at a 19, which is a little stronger, but not much. And now I'm getting a little more nervous about the speed. So we're down to 18 and 17. It is dropping at a good pace now. I don't know if we'll be down in time, but we're going to be close. I'm going to put a little more on just to be sure. And even more than that. We are down in time. I'm going to release the brakes a little bit. And apparently I'm gaining speed, which I don't want to see. So there we go. That'll work nicely. And I'm holding a running brake application right now as I pull into Dunster. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm just going to move to the side where the platform is right now, obviously. So the speed is going down just imperceptibly, and that's perfectly fine. I can take that. Because we're going to have a nice slowdown in Dunster, and we're going to possibly stop before the end of the platform this time. If I need to put the train beyond the end, though, I will do so to get the cars on the platform. I have no problem doing that. Not a bad station here. This is a nice lamplit station here. This is nice and classic. This is classic. Gonna release some of the brakes I want to coast in here. So I've released some of the brake power. Like I said, I have lots of time to make this stop, so I'm just coasting in to exactly where I want to stop at this point. I'm not going to be able to leave until my departure time of 6:06, And then we have to be at Minehead in 6 minutes after that. So I have to keep in mind I'm going to have to keep to that timetable. Little regulator back on so I can get exactly where I want to go. I want all the cars in the platform. The engine can be a little beyond. Toilets. Waiting room. Excellent. I didn't want to gain speed. What's going on here? We've arrived at Dunster. Doors are open. Can you hear the festives? Everyone on board is getting excited. Okay then, let's get moving. Leaving Dunster, our final stop for the journey today is Minehead, and we have the festives. I actually like Dunster platform in the nightlight. That was a really nice platform. Very well done design on that. So I'm going to give my props to... And again, there are going to be people who have their problems with it. I just like the fact that some effort was made to really light that one up and make it look nice. So I will give credit where credit is due. That was a nice platform. Very nicely done. So our speed limit is now 25 miles per hour. I'm going to watch when we get into Minehead because I don't want to go beyond the platform on that one. That is the end of the line, and if I go beyond the platform, I'm going to hit a buffer. Which may not necessarily derail me, but it's not going to look good either. Oh, I did not lower the reverser, so I should do that. That'll give a more acute speed gain, and I'm going to need to lower that immediately because it's starting to shoot up. Our ETA at Minehead is currently slated to be right on time. May have been a little better than that by a few seconds if it wasn't for the fact that I had the reverser down, and now the throttle is also, or the regulator is also not exactly as high as it should be. So I am not helping my arrival time any. But at least on Minehead I can just pull into the first spot and stop and not worry too much. I need a running brake, and I'm going to need to make sure I have some other brakes applied for a moment. Okay, let's release them for a moment. See what happens. There's Minehead up ahead, actually. So we have one more signal here, and then we have one more protecting Minehead, and that will be it. There's a 10 coming into Minehead, so they're going to try to make sure we can't actually speed into the buffer at the end. That's probably a very good safety mechanism. We're going to go 25 while we can, but we're going to have to apply those brakes a little earlier to get down to 10. As you see, it's just a straight shot right into Minehead from Dunster. So let's see how the brakes work half a mile out. I put a 20 on for right now on the... Well, I went down 19.9 on the brake pressure. I did gain my time right back to the actual ETA, so I think I'm going to be okay for this stop. I don't see a problem getting our perfect score here as long as I don't speed into this 10 or have wheel slip. I'm going to go ahead and apply more brakes at this time. Dot release on. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit more. That'll do for now. It is dropping nicely. I might be okay here. I might need a little more. So we're going to see what happens here. I might be in good shape with my brakes here. Yeah, I'm going to need a little more, actually, I believe. I might be good, actually. Look at this. This is going to be close. Yeah, I'm good for speed, actually. I'm not worried. We're good. We're in good shape right now. And we have no gradient, so I can actually take the brakes completely off at this point. I am perfectly content with that. Perfectly content. We're going to be veering to the left junction from here, so that means we're going to pull left here, not straight ahead. There are 2 tracks again. So the down platform, not that it really matters what you call up and down platform, they're just the end of the line in both cases. Now you notice that there is a little room beyond the platform for the engine in the event that you have a long enough train. So we'll see what happens here, how much room I need, but I can go slightly beyond the platform if I need to. Of course, there is a double red end of line signal on the buffer at the end of Minehead. If I were to hop on top of the train and look ahead, you would be able to see that very clearly up ahead there. Well, not yet. Not yet. You will eventually. So let's go ahead and keep pulling in the station for right now. This again is the, if you want to do this view, well, oh, I should change to this side. If you want to have this view, by the way, in the game, Shift 2 is the view. 1 puts you in the cab, 2 puts you on top, Shift 2 puts you along here, and then left and right let you change between those views. This train is definitely long enough, so I'm going to try and get the whole train in the platform. I do have to stop in 1 minute exactly, so I'm going to keep that in mind. I can stop sooner. I could stop now if I want to. I just want to get the whole train in because I think I can do it and do things properly. Yeah, the whole train's going to be in no problem at this point, so I'm hitting the brakes. So other than the little bit of a moment of learning things that I had at some point early on here that you're not going to see on the video, I actually had a good time with this scenario. I did not do too badly. I could have gone to the station complex ahead, but I'm just going to leave it here because I want to get the full score. Let's look at the train as we finish this scenario as we arrive at Minehead. So I took a quick peek at the station building up ahead. It actually says Reader's Halt. So I guess that was the original name of the area before, while the line was open. Could be something like that. And there was more line beyond Minehead, but that has since been lifted. You can go to the Open Railways map. You can Google that to find the map, and it will actually show you where the track has been lifted beyond Minehead. If you're curious to know more about that, you can also look up the line on Wikipedia and other Heritage Railway sources, actual Heritage Railway sources, to get more information on that as well. So that was actually, I didn't have a problem with that train. The 7F, that was fantastic. 7F, you can have the running brake. I'm happy with that. The Hall, that was a much harder train to handle with not being able to put a set brake on it. So I really enjoyed that drive compared to the Hall drive. I'm going to probably like the 7F, so I'm probably going to use the 7F in some scenarios, as that's a really nice steam engine for fairly easy use to get used to. We're here. Well done. Everyone can get their presents and join in the fun. Wah, wah, wah. Poetry, ladies and gentlemen. Well done in the fun. I'm just going to go to the scoring screen. Santa Special, perfect score. So that's another moment in history, ladies and gentlemen. That is my first career Steam scenario with a perfect score. Yay! Didn't even try. I just basically pulled in the stations and I got it. So I didn't even try. That one was, I had no problem with that one. That was fine. That was fantastic. We're going to get ready next time for the next scenario on the list. And we're going to go back to something a little more comfortable for me. What we're going to be doing next time is driving a Class 33. And it's going to be our introduction to the Class 33. Now, you may be aware there is another Class 33 DLC. And we'll talk about that more next time. Because I want to go into that detail about other Class 33s in the game next time. So I'll see you for that. In the meantime, like the channel, subscribe, or like the video, I should say. Subscribe to the channel. That's how you do it. And then you can also join my Discord server and support my work on Patreon if you wish to as well. Everything's in the signature. You can go find that down there. Have a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for your part of the world. I'll see you next time for some Class 33 diesel action on West Somerset Railway. Stay tuned for that next time. I'm Cyclone. Bye-bye.